All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's Taft City Council Successor Agency meeting amended agenda for Tuesday, May the 1st, 2018. As a courtesy to all, if you would please silence your phones, put them on vibrate so we don't get interrupted when we're doing a people's business. Any writings or documents provided to majority of the City Council regarding any item on this agenda are made available for public inspection in the lobby at Taft City Hall, 209 East Kern Street, Taft, California, during normal business hours. We are going to begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask that the City Manager lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, followed by an invocation from Scott Pearson of the First Baptist Church. If you'll join us, please.
Salute and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Gracious God, our Father, we thank you for your love and your grace and your mercy, your kindness toward us. We thank you for the beauty of your creation. We thank you for giving your Son for us so that we can have our sins forgiven, so we can have eternal life in him. Lord, we thank you for our city, a blessing to live here. We are grateful for our city council. We pray for your wisdom to be upon them this evening as they make decisions, as they discuss. We pray, God, always that you would be providing your Holy Spirit to lead them and to do what is best for the community. Thank you for your presence here this evening. Thank you for the agenda that lies before us. We pray always that everything we say, everything we do, would be glorifying to you. And we pray all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Scott. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Knorr.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Here. Councilmember Bryant.
Here.
Councilmember Cryer.
Here.
And Councilmember Miller is absent.
All right, item number 1, Proclamation Building and Safety Month. City Manager Jones.
I'll just turn it back over to you for the proclamation.
All right, very good. All right, I have a proclamation here before me, and I don't need these all the time, but this is in particularly small font, so if you'll bear with me. Proclamation declaring May 2018 Building Safety Month. Whereas the City of Taft is committed to recognizing our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster. Whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a United States-based organization that brings together local, state, and federal officials that are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, work, worship, play. And whereas the Building and Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to keep our community great. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state's building departments and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore, be it resolved, the City Council for the City of Taft does hereby declare the month of May 2018 as Building Safety Month to be celebrated by the City of Taft, its employees, residents of all ages, and businesses throughout the community. Signed and dated this first day of May 2018 by myself and all 4 council members. So, There's a proclamation. Do we have anybody here to receive this
Yes,
proclamation?
Mark McLean, our building inspector. I'd like to recognize him and have him come up.
Indeed, if you would, please, Mark. You got, I'm sorry? You want to do it up there? Oh, absolutely. Let me move my brand new high back rotational leather chair. All right. Everybody get on up here, also, please. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks for your overwatch and your dedication. Would you like to address?
Well, you know, we have lots of handouts for the public.
Why don't you step up to the mic and make them aware of that, sir? Thank you very much.
So all this month, we're going to have some fantastic handouts up at the front counter to help you identify electrical hazards, how to practice pool and spa safety, the importance of the codes, the importance of obtaining building permits. All very important. Come visit us. If you have any questions, come visit us. We'd love to talk to you. And if you know anyone who's interested in doing this as a career, have them come down and talk to me. This is a fantastic career. An opportunity is coming up in a few years. Let's see if we can fill the position here at Taft with a good qualified person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. One of the standout qualities of not only an inspector, but of a building department is enthusiasm and willingness to reach out and talk to people. Mark Staples always has a smile. That guy has always got a smile. And I am proud to tell people when asked if these things went out in public, go down to City Hall. It's your government. You needn't ask a council member. We have a wonderful staff, very willing and very efficient, that look forward to talking to you. Bring your questions, bring your concerns, because these folks, they have the answer. So thank you again for everything that you do for the community. All right, next up, item number 2, study session, Mission Kern County discussion, homelessness in the city of Taft. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. We invited out the mission of Kern County. They put on a little presentation at the Chamber of Commerce and thought it would be an opportunity for them to come out to the city of Taft and let us know what they've been doing in our community for our homeless population. So, you guys like to introduce yourselves?
All righty. Well, thank you first of all for inviting us out here tonight. And it was a great meeting last week with, I recognize some of you here in the room that were there. My name is Steve Peterson. I'm the Director of Programs at the Mission of Kern County. I've been there since January of 2011. Prior to that, I had a career with the Billy Graham Association Evangelistic Association for 25 years. And that's what brought me out here to California about 15 years ago. And so I've, at the mission, now the mission itself it existed for the first 60 years as the Bakersfield Rescue Mission. And in 2012, at our 60th anniversary, we went through a whole rebranding project and renamed ourselves the Mission at Kern County. But it's the same mission. It's been there since 1952. So we're in our 66th year of ministering in the city, or in the county of Kern. I have with me Brandon Puderball, who is on our staff, graduated, 3 years ago, and been on our, or a little over that, been on our staff for about 2.5 years, graduated from our one-year Christian discipleship program. I'll tell a bit more about that here in just a moment. And comes out here to Taft at least about twice a month. At least twice a month, and does rural outreach. He's our rural outreach coordinator, and he'll tell you about that. And then also brought Kevin Codd over here to my left, and Kevin is about to graduate from our one-year program. And so kind of get a little bit of different perspective. I'll kind of give you the broad overview, the 30,000-foot view. How's that? And these guys will kind of break it down into a little bit more personal levels. Basically, at the mission, we operate 4 programs, or 4 kinds of outreaches, if you will. We have a ministry called Homeless Intervention Services. We work with anybody who's homeless, men, women, children. We do a lot of different things in that. We serve 3 meals a day at our mission, a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. We provide showers, clothing, case management, and try to help assist people getting housing, get their Social Security, hook them up with any of the other services that work with the homeless in the county through the Kern County Homeless Collaborative. And then we also have a shelter for men. And we have a 189-bed facility in our shelter. We're running, close to 95% capacity most of the time. But usually there's a bed or two available. So that's that's HIS, we call that, Homeless Intervention Services. Then we have our 1-year it's called the Christian Life Discipleship Program. I like to tell people it's a discipleship program for people in recovery. And so it's a year long for men and women. And we've been operating that for a long, long time. It's a pretty focused, pretty structured program. They'll have about 3 classes a day. We focus on life skills, spiritual skills, recovery skills, and work skills. We really work on getting these men and women jobs, and have been very successful with that. I would say nearly 100% job placement in the last 3 years. I should say with our Homeless Intervention Services, we also do outreach right in front of the mission, and we keep track of every time we do an outreach. We did over 1,000 outreaches just on King Street, right in front of the mission last year. And then Brandon began doing rural outreach. We got a grant from the state to do rural outreach, and Brandon began doing that last May. And from May through December, I think had about 400 contacts in rural. We housed somewhere around 1,600 different individuals in our shelter last year, and we placed about 460 or so into housing. In our program, I had mentioned about that. We also have what we call our Next Steps Transitional Housing Program, and that's for the people who graduate from the 1-year program. That's also on our campus. We began that program in 2013. Now when they graduate, they can live in that program for up to another 18 months while they're making that transition, working, beginning to save money, come back into a clean, sober environment, supportive environment, until they're ready to move out on their own. And then on this Thursday, we have a ribbon cutting for a brand new program, which is a Women with Children's Recovery Program. So it'll be women with their children going through that program. That'll be an 18-month program. And that'll launch. We do the ribbon cutting on Thursday, and it's a 38-bed facility, and we will begin that program on May 14th. So we're excited about that. That's the overview, if you will. I realize, there's been a lot of homelessness has become a hot topic, and particularly in California, and for good reason. The state of California has about 25% of the homeless population of the country are out here in California, and about 50% of the unsheltered. So if you wonder why we see a lot of homeless people, there's a reason for that. There's a lot of factors that have gone into that, and maybe we can get into that if you guys have questions. But right now I'm just going to have Brandon kind of give an overview of what he does with rural outreach.
Hi, my name is Brandon Puderball, and thank you for inviting me out. I do rural outreach out here, and basically what rural outreach does is I come out to the rural areas of Kern County that do not have homeless services, and I interact with the homeless population on their level at the street. I provide emergency relief items such as shoes, clothing, hygiene kits, a lunch, water, and I start engaging them. And overall, my goal is to to give them information about the services that are available for them, but to have them come back to the mission at Kern County with me to either come and stay in a bed to start working on the services that are more readily available in Bakersfield, or to have them join our year-long Christian discipleship program. Along doing that, I do make city connections with the people that are already doing things, such as St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, the First Assembly of God, the Need Center. I've met Lucille over there. And go to these places where there are already services are happening. That way I have more of an avenue to where I could find the people that I'm trying to meet. I have been out here attending several of the Together We Can homeless collaborative meetings that TAFTA started out here with Sandy Koenig. It just as a show of support, just to let you guys know that, hey, the mission at Kern County, we do have beds available for men. We have programs for men and women, and we just want to do our part with what the resources we can, just to offer them here to the community. I am on call pretty much to pick up any homeless person that wants to come to the mission and join our program. I do have a couple of names here. Success stories, people in the last year that graduated. William Rowden, Frank Fuller, Aaron Schatzsnyder, they were all residents here of TAF. Currently in our program, direct contact or indirect because of materials that I've passed out. One woman I met over at St. Andrews while eating dinner, my wife spoke to her as well. Her name was Jennifer Madison. We talked with her and 2 months later she called us, and she joined our program. Jesse Lugo, he is lived out here several years also, and he's received one of our cards, and so he said, hey, well, I'm just going to go to the mission. Let me see, there's been a few other people. Right now I have a gentleman named John Casper. Picked up a man named Nolan, and a few other guys. Joey Schaefer was with us, and David Perry was with us for a short time. But the overall goal is just to try and get them here to the mission, start working on services, and just be a little bit of support to help walk them through the process of getting housing, medical, whatever it is that we need along to help with that. I am a graduate of the mission program myself. I was pretty much homeless at the time that I came to the mission. I was not a resident of Bakersfield. I was actually dropped off by correctional officers at the Amtrak. I had a probation officer in Bakersfield, and seeing her, she said, stay at the mission is a free place. And, my goal was to go out of town to Ridgecrest, where, I was born at. But I didn't really have residency there. I just had family that was willing to take me in. For my one night stay that I did stay over at the mission at Kern County was the best thing that advice I ever took. I did have money. I could have stayed at any hotel along the way, but while I was there, the staff that was on duty, they did mention about the program to me. And, for me, it gave me fresh hope because I was sitting out on the streets, looking at the people pushing shopping carts saying, I could do that too. I'm not better than them. Those thoughts came through my mind. But then when they offered me a program and they offered me help, it brought back to me all the things that I used to have: apartment, a car, a job, an ex-wife. I've lived life. But it was just a tough world and a few bad decisions, and along with drug use and alcohol use, which brought me to a place where, it had such a hold on me, that eventually, crime caught up to me and I had to do some time. But since then, 4 years ago, I went to the mission at Kern County in July. It'll be 3 years since I graduated this July. I've been working at the mission for over 2.5 years. And I get to work with the people who I used to be. Overall, our program is the place where we could work with people who had issues of being homeless, addicted, in and out of jails. And we have a very good success rate of the people that actually make it to our program, that graduate, that go on to start living a life that they've always wanted to live. And it's not just that one person that we help, but a lot of times these guys have families that they have kids that now they have their father or mother's back, and they, so it's not just one at a time. When we can help one person, it does help many people that they're in contact with. And so right now I just want to kind of give a little bit of time here to Kevin Codd. He's he's about to graduate here in 2 weeks. So I just want to give you a perspective of what it's like to be at the mission at Kern County in the program. from somebody who's currently coming through it.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Kevin Cott, and I'm 44 years old. I grew up in Los Angeles, South Central. So in that time, it was just my mother, and she did all she could to keep me away from what was happening in South Central in the 80s. The drive-bys and the drugs and all that. So we moved. Somehow, some way, I still got caught up in the culture of drugs, following, just wayward, didn't have any direction, continued to make bad choices, ended up in Vancouver, Washington in 1997, of all places, smoking crack cocaine for about 6 months of my life. And that's when I started going to jail. Ended up getting saved and in 97, and that changed my life. That changed the course of my life at that time. I still didn't have the sure footing of a person who knew who they were in this world. I still chased after the things that made me feel good for a long time. And I finally came to a place, I'm just gonna kind of fast forward here because I did a lot of bad stuff, and that's not what we're here to talk about. In 2017, I found myself in Oakland, California, of all places, going from hotel to hotel, smoking meth, smoking weed, just living that life. And my ex-wife, who is a graduate of the mission, she graduated in 2013, found out what I was doing and called me up and asked me if I would like to come to the mission, as what happened to her at the mission changed her life, changed the course of her life. And I thought about it, and I said, okay. She actually opened up her doors, let me stay at her house for a week so I could detox, and then the whole homeless shelter came into effect. Homeless shelter? I'm not going to go to a homeless shelter. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not going to go to a homeless. In my state, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, I finally came to my senses and said, I'm going to a homeless shelter because I had no other choice, really. It's either that or continue on with the way I was living. When I got to the mission, I was a really broken guy. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any purpose. I didn't have any direction. I had nothing. And when it took me about 2 months to start to really interact with other people, because there was just such brokenness in me that I could only, during times of worship and chapel times and class times, I could only receive. I was there to receive. I was there for God to restore my life. And I understood that, but I didn't know how he was going to do it, but he did it. The mission is the way that it's laid out. There's the men's discipleship program is in the back, and I never knew it existed. And when I got there, I'm like, this is an oasis in the desert. That's how it felt for me, because it gave me life, and God has really changed my life. Not just an instantaneous thing. I mean, he's really, from the inside out, he's really transformed me from what I used to be, how I used to think, how I interact with people, how I'm talking to you now. I couldn't do this before, but because of what he's done, it's happening. And this is the only way I know how to communicate, is what he's doing and what he's done in my life. So while at the mission, there's a couple things that he had me do from the giddy up. He had me write letters to people from 20 years back, take time out, write these letters, make amends, and to also own to take responsibility for the things I did. That cleared the runway for me to start moving forward, because I no longer was bound by self, if you know what I mean by that. And things started to come together, and I don't really consider myself like a success story. No, I'm just a guy who came and recognized that he could not manage his life any longer and that he had to give it over. And that's exactly what I did. My life is not my own. I've been at the mission for over a year. And the biggest thing that's going to come out of this is, for me, is this. Wherever I go, whatever I do, is going to touch other lives. That's what's going to happen. And that's what I've seen at the mission is when guys and gals graduate the program, they don't graduate it for themselves. They don't graduate it to say they want to get a house, they want to get a car. No, they graduated because they want to see other people have the same thing they have. And that's exactly what I want. The mission is a very special place, and I am more than ecstatic that God brought me there the way he did. I didn't understand it at the time, but I look back and I'm like, man, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because now, I'm forever in a day, you know, as God grants me the days on this earth, it's going to be about other people. It's not going to be about me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That's quite a testimony, Kevin. Thank you.
All right, we'll take, I don't know if you guys got any questions or
You know, I
comments?
know that there's going to be multiple questions. I was fortunate enough to sit in on a meeting, so just a few little points that I'm going to lay out there for people. And actually, Brandon's going to have to step up and talk to us as well as you, Steve. There's a great deal of discussion regarding homelessness. What causes it? Is the city of Taft the capital of homelessness, as some people might think, when in point of fact, like you just said, no, it is not. I believe it was you, Steve, who told me that last year, Kern County, their increase in homelessness was countywide 9%. The city of Bakersfield was?
The city was 46% of unsheltered homeless.
46% increase in a single year, the city of Bakersfield. So this is not a localized problem. This is a problem that is statewide, and we are in agreement that part of the problem was the atmosphere created by legislative screw-ups. Now, then one of the things, too, that was very important that I heard Brandon say, Brandon, on the average, how many times when you come do rural outreach, how many times on the average do you actually have to engage someone before you gain sufficient amount of trust from them for them to think about coming to the mission? How many times?
That would be 17 contacts.
17 contacts, and
Yeah.
you're here about every other week.
About every other week I'm here, usually on a Monday or a Friday. Mostly a Friday would be here.
So 17 times you reach out, you talk to an individual. Sometimes you catch them every other week, sometimes not. But on the average, so if there's one that takes 10, there might be one that takes 24 times. But that's a substantial amount of time spent earning somebody's trust, trying to help them understand to take that leap, to take a chance, jump in that van with you, and go and take advantage of the opportunity that you all represent. Which is another thing I want to bring up. How often do you bring vagrants and homelessness or homeless people from Bakersfield to Taft?
I've never driven anybody from Bakersfield to Taft.
Thank
I've
you
only
very
driven
much.
people from Taft to Bakersfield.
Thank you very much. All right, there's just a couple of points I just wanted to bring up and give you the opportunity. So at this point in time, I'm going to open this up to the other members of the council. So I'm going to start, Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys coming out. I know the mayor touched on a lot of the reasons why. And to the gentlemen who completed the program, kudos to you guys. You guys are shining an example of what should be done after you face adversity, after you've recognized at the end of the day that you have wronged society and you've wronged yourself. There are times, an ample opportunity for you to go to change that. And there are avenues that are readily available, as you guys mentioned, for people to do that. So kudos to you guys. Good luck in the future. And I hope you guys are successful in your outreach. My question for you is more so around funding. Could you guys give us an idea of how you're funded? Is it private? Is it public?
Yeah,
Maybe
we're about
hybrid?
95% privately funded, and the other percentage is emergency solutions grants from the county of Kern, the city, and then, like I mentioned, the state grant that we get for the rural outreach.
That's fantastic. And you said there are about 1,600 different people cycle through your programs each
About
year?
1,600 unique individuals, as we call them, stayed at the mission last year.
And that's including your
And
overnight stays?
that's pretty
as well?
typical the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay, very nice.
Yep.
Very nice. Well, I don't have any more questions, but I want to say keep up the good work, and we look forward to offering people your services who are locals and may need that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Councilman Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. I have several questions for you. I know as you try to we convinced people from Taft, some of the homeless people to go to Bakersfield. It's kind of hard to get them to leave Taft. Is it any idea of maybe put like a little satellite situation where a daycare center where they go to classes here to learn how to, to get off of homelessness, like here in Taft at one of the churches or something?
Well, we don't have any plans for that. There was, we had a meeting prior to this meeting where there was a couple of good ideas, I think, that came up working with, who's that officer? I guess.
Sergeant Bilby?
Yeah, Sergeant Bilby, and working with him because he has a little more rapport too. And so it's just making those connections and trying to come up with a couple of solutions that, I think that there was a couple good ideas that came out of there. And we'll definitely look into those.
So in that, and I'll just touch on that also because you bring up a very valid point, but the fact of the matter is the infrastructure exists in Bakersfield, and there's a lot of different funding mechanisms. So the discussion was Sergeant Bilby has contact with these people in the greater Taft area and has developed a trust and a relationship. And so he is going to work more directly and dovetail his knowledge and his trust with these individuals and work along with the mission to try to get more of those that will respond to what they have to offer over there. So that is part of the reason they were over here, so that we can build those collaborative relationships.
The second part of my question was if couldn't do a satellite deal, and the homeless people here don't want to be gone from this area here, would you take them to Bakersfield, go to the classes, get them started, oriented, then bring them back in the evening so they're just to give them a start to get trust into them?
Something I guess we could look into.
I guess that would be a possibility. We haven't really looked about bringing them in and bringing them out, but what's going on is things are always evolving, based on to who's helping and what the need is. There's not one answer for every homeless situation, but together, working together, as Kern County, members, we could come up with, new ideas and try new things out in the future. Something that was discussed in the meeting before this is, Sergeant Bilby wants to hop in the van, and drive out with me and show me the people he knows, just so we make sure that we're making contact with all the people, and he could then, kind of see what we're doing, That's just, one way that we can all start helping each other, it's just us being involved with you, you guys being involved with us, and the people that live here, they are somebody's children, and they are cared for and they are loved, and we just want to do our part and just offer the mission services to anybody that is willing to help. So I do looking forward to opportunity. If you guys want to call down or email us about ideas or possible ways we could work together, we'll welcome that. And anybody wants to come down for a tour of the mission to see exactly firsthand what we have there, we're always open Monday through Friday for that.
Yeah. I think the important thing is, we're communicating, and out of communication comes solutions, and so we're getting there, right? And I think that's the main thing, and so that's the good news about all this. It's kind of brought everybody's feelings, emotions, their involvement, wanting to do something about it, and because of that, I think a lot of things are going to get done.
I have a few more questions. You did touch on something on here, because most of the homeless here in Taft have family members here, parents and brothers and sisters and stuff, and you get their trust and stuff. I don't know how you do that. You're the expert on that. I just throwing out maybe to gradually, work with them either here or over there, and then hopefully they'll get enlightened and join. Because I'm a firm believer of faith-based things that you're doing, because they do a much better job than the public sector does and all that.
Well, yeah, I think, there's, the longer people have been homeless, the more kind of distrust they have with people. And so that's why it takes a while to break that barrier down. Okay. And we can't just pull up, I couldn't just pull up and say, why don't you get in the van and come on down the mission? They're not going to do it. But because with these relationships and developing these relationships, that's really the key. To make those things happen.
On your deal about work, I can touch with you about is in your program, when do you help get them place a job somewhere, or at what
Good
point?
question. All right, so we have a 4-track system at the Mission in the shelter for men who are staying in the shelter. So they're coming in, or a woman, they're coming in for the program, right? They're either coming in for the program, we call that track 1. Whether it be our program, or maybe sometimes they're waiting to get into different programs, they can stay in the shelter, we do that. We realize our program might not be for everybody, and so we recognize several other programs and we work with them. The other track 2 is what we call jobs. And so for the men who are staying the overnight as guests, as we call them, that's what we call them, guests. We call those who are in our program residents, those who are in the shelter, guests. And we have what we call track 2. We have a job. We have a learning center where guys can go in there every morning. We have a man in there who will help them get on the computer, put together resumes, help them look for jobs, get their resumes online, and we've gotten a lot of guys jobs that way. We have a job training program in computer software and hardware it's a CompTIA certified program. It's a 21-week program that's open to anybody in the county, whether they are staying at the Mission or not. For those who don't stay at the Mission, they just have to make less than $15,000 a year, and they're qualified to be in that training program. And right now, we have several who are going through that course right now. A couple guys from Tehachapi, I think, are in there, and so on. So it's open. And that gives them an IT equivalent of what the people get who are hired, like for a Geek Squad. So it's entry into the IT world, which can be some good high-paying jobs. So we have that available for our jobs. We put everybody to work at the Mission. They're doing some kind of volunteer work, so that helps. And then we have a track where just people can't work, and so on. We're trying to get them their housing, and so on. So that's kind of, it all depends on what the person's there for, what their needs are. We really try to help them. We always suggest the program first of all. That's why it's track 1. And because sometimes guys just think they need another job. But hey, if you've lost 6 jobs in the last year because you can't pass a drug test, you might want to do something different.
You furnish transportation for a while for some of your clients? You furnish transportation for some of your clients?
We do.
To the job sites, if they find a job somewhere, they have no way of getting there? The reason I was going to talk to you, I'd like to talk to you later, because I have a program where we can hire people.
Yeah, well, we do. Yeah, we've done jobs. I mean, we've done transportation. We're limited in that, but we work on that. We try to get people to carpool and so on. Yeah. We have particularly with the program, we developed several relationships with different employment agencies and because we've done this for the last 4 or 5 years and gotten these guys jobs and they've done well there. They call us. They call us and they say, "You got anybody graduating from this program?" And we go, "Yeah." They go, "Well, we got some jobs open," and that's usually how most of them are actually getting their jobs now.
Now you've been here in Taft for a few weeks and stuff, for a month or two. What do you see with the homeless that we have here? That I know some of them. I'm the type of person I talk with some of the people like Heather and them. It's easier to get the easier fruit to get them converted over to help them out. But what do you see here to help bring our homeless down and make them productive citizens? Do you see good results here, or you see it's going to be a tough road to grind there?
Well, there's always hope, and with that 17 contacts, number we threw out there, is we just have to keep making communication with them, making contact with them. Because eventually they're going to want to start listening more to what you have to say. They're going to be in a point in their life where they're going to want to help, or they're going to want to change. And just coming constantly and always speaking to them is the best thing we could do right now. As far as your city, if your city together wanted to be more involved, I know you guys have your collaborative going, your homeless collaborative, so there's already a group of people and people that want to help. It's just kind of more just defining that, and it's all of us together that's going to do it. It's just not one person. There's not just one solution. The degrees of homelessness is so wide, And so, it just needs many avenues, to be able to bring them in.
I'd like to give you my number. Maybe next month, get a hold of me. I'll be willing to work with you in hiring the women and gentlemen.
Okay, we could do that. I also work with the Next Steps program, and with the Next Steps program, it's our transitional housing for the people that graduated our program. So we do help get housing, and you did ask for like transportation. For somebody that did graduate our program, we will help them, for the first week or two get to their jobs so they can start building connections and getting their bus routes. We don't just say, okay, well, we're not, no more help. You got a job, take care of yourself. We will help get them, somewhere so they can start getting that connection and build it themselves. Because overall we want to just empower them, but where they do need help, we do help.
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Thank you. I'm just kind of curious, what does it take in a yearly budget to run a facility like yours?
That's a great question. Now, some of this would be like gift in kind, and some would be cash. I think our budget last year was about $3.5 million, combination of cash and gift in kind. What I mean by gift in kind is, food donations, clothing donations, things like that. Now, the budget is going to go up a little bit more because we just added a new program. I don't have those numbers here in front of me, but
It's not cheap.
it's not. Oh yeah, no. It's not cheap.
And
no,
you're telling
but
me
it's
95% of this is privately donated.
yeah.
It's remarkable. So I'm going to assume that the funding is probably part of what limits your ability to come here more than twice a month.
Yes. Yeah, we got a grant that is it's a limited grant, obviously, and so it's he does it. Well, we are going to do it 3 days a week now and through July, but it's been 2 days a week. But we're bumping up one more day, and we can see where it goes after that. But that's a state grant that we get for that.
One of the other things that we have here in town is, and I'm sure everywhere, we have a lot of mental health issue here.
Yes.
And I'm sure everybody does. But a lot of these people don't think they want to be helped. Is there anything that you offer or you can refer people to that have mental health problems?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we try to have them come, because there's more, we can make those connections more easily in the city of Bakersfield. But they're Kern, it used to be called Kern Mental Health. It's Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. It's a really long name, but I've memorized it. But it took me a while. But anyway, they've been working on putting together these teams again that'll go out and work with the mental. They've gotten grants, more grants, whatever, to work street teams that'll work with those who are having mental health episodes. And obviously, most of those people are going to be homeless, so it's not really a homeless grant, but it's they're going to be dealing with. And I'm not sure exactly when that program's starting. They're putting that all together. It's a long process, but I do know that's in the works.
Do you work with the local services that we do have, which we do not have a lot, but we do have the
Yes.
services that are here tonight that we...
Yeah, Brandon is, like I said, been coming on here for about a year, been going to the meetings.
Yeah, I've been coming to the Together We Can collaborative meetings. I'll stop over at the Needs Center. I'll go over and I'll serve a meal with Heather or stop by there all the time. I've met a couple of the hellfighters out here, So, I do try and get connected with what's already going on because I just need avenues where I can make contact with the people that I'm trying to reach.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you much. Gentlemen, we really appreciate you coming forward and talking to us, and we will continue to move forward with the suggestions that were talked about in the other room, which, just so everybody's transparent about what it is, like we're talking about what's going on with Taft PD, the sharing of information. He's going to ride around some perhaps with Brandon so that he can help bring that comfort level that much sooner and perhaps get those people to become a part of your program. Along with that, we discussed one of the hurdles that some people have is giving up their security blankets. It is well known that several of the homeless throughout the city of Taft have pets, multiple pets. They don't have a place to put pets. So it's like, well, you can come be a part of the program, but no, we can't bring your dog. Well, we're looking into try to come up with a solution for that problem. So that being a hurdle, keeping somebody from getting involved in a program, that seems like something maybe we can work out, something we can work with. So thanks again for taking the time. Thanks, Brandon, for coming out here twice a month for a very long time. And obviously, we all know that you can't save everybody, and you work hard, and there are those, and we cannot legally force anybody to take advantage of your program. They've got to want it, and they've got to trust it, so they've got to want to get out of this cycle. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time, sharing your stories with us, and we look forward to working with you all.
Okay, thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Oh my. Next up, item number 3, citizens request public comments. This is the time and place for the general public to address the city council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. First up this evening, we have Kathy Oren, Dr. Oren for the Chamber.
Good evening. I'd like to give a shout out. I know this will probably get put on the floor of the booth when he goes through this, but I want to give a shout out to my one fan, Ralph. Okay.
Ralph, Kathy says hello. All right, you got it, Kathy.
Thank you. Our next endeavor at the Chamber is the Fund the Fireworks from 8 to 12 this Friday. And as you know, funding the fireworks is what we're all about from now until the 4th of July. And we have some help this Friday from ARC clients and from the CTEC law enforcement and CHP classes, CHP Explorer Post 426. And hopefully we'll have some help from firemen. But the problem with firemen is, as good looking as they are, they still have to go to fires. So we never know how long we'll have them helping us, but they are very committed when they can be there. As you know, we have the best fireworks display in the county. And I know you know that because it looks as if from our agenda you're going to be discussing your support of that, and we appreciate that. It brings people from all over, not just our community, and that helps with, I think, what Councilman Cryer refers to as new money. So that helps that whole system work. So it's a wonderful time. It will be on the 4th of July this year, but be sure that you happen past Kern and 4th Streets this Friday morning from 8 to noon. We'd appreciate your help with that. The first Friday also is cruise night before our car show, which is on Saturday. And there will be a band on 5th Street Plaza, and Center Street businesses will be open. So that's going to be kind of exciting. It promises to be wonderful weather. I say that knowing that it's probably drizzling outside, but it's forecasted to be beautiful weather on Friday. So we hope that you'll take advantage of that. And then, of course, the car show on the Rails to Trails. We have many entries. Some of them are coming from as far away as Visalia. So this is going to be, again, new money, Orchel. And people are going to be bringing their cars and their money to see us. So I hope that you come down and enjoy. We have a lot of cars, a lot of people registered just today. We'll have wonderful vendors, and I hope you take advantage of that. And I'd like to give a shout out to the Taft Union High School Jazz Band, because they are offering a Cinco de Mayo dinner at the fort on Saturday evening, and they're going to be having a taco bar. The kids will be playing from 6 to 8, and if you've never heard our Taft High Jazz Band, you have not. Oh, they are just awesome. And they'll be playing, and dinner will start at 6. No, dinner will start, I think it's 6, yes. And the tariff is $25. It's a fundraiser so that they can defray the cost of all the moving around that they're doing. They're getting a lot of gigs lately, but it takes money to get there. So, moving along, we're busy. This week is just huge. I don't know how that happened. We're not going to let it happen again. We have a lot of things going on this week. The Candidates Forum to get ready for the June 5th primary is happening at OT Cookhouse Tuesday night at 6 p.m. We are going to be having a presentation on Measure C. We're going to be hearing from candidates of the 23rd Congressional District, the California Senate race, Kern County Superior Court Seat 10, Kern County Superior Court Seat 14, the Kern County Sheriff's race, and the Kern County District Attorney's race. And we have folks that are going to be helping us moderate, including our own mayor, which we appreciate.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it's going to be a worthwhile evening. It's going to be very well organized, and you will walk away knowing who the candidates are and hopefully knowing what they stand for. And if you are not busy tomorrow morning from 9 to 10, join us at Chambers Sit and Sip. Justin Fleeman, who is running in opposition to the seated sheriff, Donnie Youngblood, will be the guest speaker at Sit and Sip, and we'd love to see you there. Thank you very much for this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And everybody, remember, the 4th of July fireworks show in the city of Taft is your show. You own it. You don't stand in line. There's no gate. You bring your children. You set down a blanket. The fireworks go off directly over your head. We have the most incredible venue. It's an opportunity that does not take place very often anymore in these United States. We have it right here in the city of Taft. Take advantage of it. So when you go through the intersection and you see those guys holding out their boots, throw the cost of a Happy Meal or what they call them, caramel macchiatos? Is that what it is? Yeah, I drink coffee, so I don't know what a caramel macchiato is, but it's some language and it's like $11 a cup of coffee. So
15.
15? 15. Throw the $15 in the boot. It's your show. We want to continue, and it just gets better and better and better. So I look forward to seeing all of you there on the 4th of July. Remember, it's your show. Bring a friend. Make sure they throw some money in the boot, too. So thanks again, Kathy. Appreciate it. Next up, Heather Mueller.
Yes. Heather Mueller. I live at 508 Woodruff. So, and you've heard me before. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having the people from the mission, hearing some of these suggestions and hearing about some of these programs that are happening and are proving to be successful. So thank you for that. I'm really, really glad that we are looking at some of the solutions. And you asked for a list of my suggestions, things that I've heard from my trade journals and other people in the business of ministering to people who are on the fringes. And so I hope you got that list.
Indeed.
I think Yvette probably forwarded it to you. So this is what I want to say. I am leaving Taft in September, actually the end of August. I'm going back to Hawaii, which is, of course, my home. And I have been here 5 years. Now, in these 5 years that I have spent in Taft, I have been involved in a lot of different things, as I'm sure you probably realize. Seroptimus, Rotary, Relay for Life, Westside Christian Ministers Association, lots and lots of things have been a part of my life. And I know a lot of people. And I want to tell you that this town of Taft is one of the friendliest, nicest, large numbers of wonderfully kind people. Christians that know about Christianity and know about serving and know about caring. This town is filled with energy and love and support. I mean, when Stacy Meadows was killed in Las Vegas, oh my gosh, they had, I think it was 600 people at the high school. And then the next 2 days later, at the rec, they had, I don't know how many people, but it was probably 600 people. This town knows how to support one another and care about one another and each other. One of the first things, and I'm very impressed with this, one of the first things that I did as a Rotarian in 2013 when I came here was to go to the till opening of the renovation. Remember all that? New rooms, new facility, new kitchen. Oh my gosh, they've got what, 5 stoves in there. One of the best programs anywhere. And I think that there are people from all over the United States who come and look at that till program and use it as a model for some things that they might want to do. And then there's the ARC. I've really gotten close to some of those folks. It is a state-of-the-art program. They are amazing, the things that they do. And what I want to say is that it is time for this town to take care of the people who are living on the fringes in the streets. And I know we can. We may not have a program like the Mission Write-Off. That's a very expensive program, and it's been going, you heard the man, since 1953 or something. We're not going to go there immediately, but we need to take care of the people who are here. And you've heard me say this before. I used to believe that the people who were using drugs and on the streets were people who didn't have self-discipline or didn't have enough chutzpah to go to college or didn't have enough, shall we say, self-control to get their lives together. Well, since I've been on the, shall we say, in the grassroots in this situation, and I meet a lot of these folks who are living on the fringes and on the edges, I can tell you, it isn't a matter of self-discipline. It's a matter of systems failing these people. Families failing people. Families with violence and drugs and incarceration, and children being neglected. And they're right here in River City. They're right here. These people are right here in Taft. And kids getting kicked out of school. Who's sitting out there waiting for those kids that get kicked out of school? People with drugs and gangs. They're sitting right there waiting. So the schools kick these people out, then where do they go? So just to end, what I'd like to say is that I believe that Taft has the capacity, the ability, the possibility of taking care of these people who are our own people. They're not Bakersfield people, they're our own people. And we need to really figure out how we can care for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heather. Next up, Kathy Edgecombe.
Thank you. My name is Kathy Edgecombe. I live at 824 Mallory Court. And I just wanted to draw your attention to an article that was in the Wednesday, April 11th, Bakersfield, California, and it says Kern County approves anti-hunger program. I don't know if any of you saw it, but there's a program that's supposed to be starting in May. It's called Waste Hunger, Not Food. And this is through with the Kern County Public Health Department. They're partnering with the Director of Food Services of the Bakersfield City School District, the La Costa Morisco's restaurant, the Frugatti's, and Foodland Markets to provide distribution points for food. They received a $191,000 grant for 3 refrigerated trucks to pick up foods with these people that they're partnering with, and another $30,000 from Kaiser to supply a driver. That is wonderful, and I'm glad they're doing it. They said, unfortunately, Bakersfield ranks number 1 in the nation with the most people in the metropolitan area who cannot afford to buy the food they need. Every day, 116,000 Kern County residents do not know where their next meal is coming from and 1 in 4 children go to bed hungry every night in Kern County. Add to that the fact that 40% of all food in the United States is wasted, thrown in the trash, that Kern County is the #1 food producer in the nation, and this is a prime location for a program like Waste Hunger, Not Food. Now, I would like to share a flyer with you, and I'd like to read it. We've kind of been doing this without any grants, volunteers, myself. We distributed these flyers to several restaurants and churches and interested people, and it says, if you have any leftover food after an event, or you make decisions at a restaurant, school, grocery store, or service organization with food that needs to go, don't throw. Join Gleaning with Meaning. Sharon Corporation's Sandwich Social Program, along with St. Andrew's Church, serves free homemade healthy meals and feeds 20 to 60 people daily in our community. Call 661-205-6575 for pickup or delivery arrangements. Note, most of the people we serve do not have kitchens, a can opener, storage, or a way to cook and prepare food. They are very grateful for our giving. All are welcome to eat, share, laugh in a friendly, caring atmosphere. 7 days a week, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at 703 5th Street, Taft, California. Donation slips for tax purposes are available upon request. And I would like to read the back side of this, which is really important. It's taken from the California Retail Food Code. We copied it so that people would have no doubt. This is effective January 1st, 2017. Article 7, Food Facility, Food Donations. 114432. Any food facility may donate food to a food bank or to any other non-profitable charitable organization for distribution to persons free of charge. 114433. No food facility that donates food as prevented by Section 114432 shall be subject to civil or criminal liability or penalty for violation of any laws, regulations, or ordinances regulating the labeling or packaging of the donated product, or with respect to any other laws, regulations, or ordinances for a violation occurring after the time of the donation. So we have been doing this in our community just on our own quietly, and we have had a lot of wonderful food donations that have helped our program always have an abundance of food. But I would like to say that I would someday like to see the problems that the schools are having maybe be eliminated by joining with us to take the food that they think they have to throw away and let us use it in a better way. And I just wanted to share that.
All right, thank you very much for coming before the council. Next up, Justin Bishop, is that it?
Thank you. I'd like to say that not all the homeless people are thieves and heroin addicts and liars, because I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal. I've been going to the St. Andrew's Church for 488 days in a row, and it's really been good for me. I would like to ask the council to reconsider opening the Center Street bathrooms. I know that it gets ruined by a few bad people, but among the homeless people I've talked to, we make a people's referendum. We find out who messes it up, and we fix them ourselves. You don't have to penalize us by closing them. We'll find out who it is and fix them ourselves. We just put out the word, and nobody will mess them up at all.
My name is Kendra Regier. I live at 104 East Warren Street. I am a health fighter, and I just wanted to touch bases on what was discussed tonight from Bakersfield Missions. They stated that the shelter for men was 187 beds. 95% of it is full, with 2 beds maybe every other night or every night. Not quoting that, but just saying what I thought I heard. The qualifications of getting in there is as a guest. You're allowed to stay there for 2 days. And then if you do not have ID, you're not clean, First of all, if you're on drugs, you're not clean, you're not staying. If you do not have an ID, you're there only for 48 hours and then you're back on the street again. These are people that live here, like you said, that our families are here, their dogs are here, everything they know, even with our psychopathic homeless people, this is their home, regardless. Whether they're living in a ditch or in the park or wherever, this is still their home. This is where their family is. And they can't take their dogs, right? So, it's just unfortunate that they're gonna go, stay 2 days, and then be kicked out on the streets because they don't have this ID that they need or the paperwork that qualifies them to stay longer in a population that's already, he said, increased 46%. They can't even take care of their own homeless. We think we have a problem here. In-N-Out, just go to In-N-Out. My goodness, you can't even buy a hamburger without somebody asking if you want to buy something, which is a penny, but they wanting $5 to $10 to go get high again. So they have their own issues. They cannot take care of Taft. So that's what I'm just bringing to your attention. And again, I stepped up here and I have spoke for the homeless. I'm nervous, and I've been in class all day. But please consider a daycare, at least a daycare, so we can give them a mailbox, so they can get an ID, so they can get the medical card that they need. But in order to get all these things, right, and the help that they need, to see a psychiatrist, or to get the food stamps, or to get general aid, right, that everybody else is able to get with an address, a daycare where we can give them an address. We can give them now an ID card, and we can give them now a medical card to go see that psychiatrist or to get the help that they need. I am a health fighter also. And, by the way, great news, our trailer, Shower on Wheels, is on its way to Taft. So that has been successful. And you will see it on Saturday, hopefully, at the bike path. But I'm just saying, it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But there's help out there. We just got a big, huge grant here in Kern County. There is money out there for the homeless. We're not the only city that is in need and has this problem. That we could all work together, like Heather said. Taft has pulled together in so many other circumstances, and it wasn't what it used to be in the 80s, but we're still mighty, and we still can be one, and as a unit, and as a unity, and make something that's becoming overpopulated, right? Work for good. Our college has outlets. There is our homeless going to college. I go to college. I'm a full-time student trying to make a difference in Taft. But there's also homeless people that do go to college. There is resources out there, but we're not all coming together. We're doing it here, we're doing it here, we want credit here, I want credit there. Nobody's coming together. But we are having these council meetings, and we are trying to find a solution, right? But Bakersfield's not our solution. It can help us. And if it makes a difference for one person, great. But we have a lot more homeless here in Taft than just one person. So just not close our eyes and not close the doors, and let's just try to, come up with a solution to work together to make a difference. And that's all. And thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Next up, Ron Orn.
I'm Ron Orrin. I live at 105 East Lucard. It's always a pleasure to address this council. Thank God we live in a country that allows us that freedom. On previous occasions, I come to you tonight with a persistent concern for my community, our community. This past Saturday, a group of Christians gathered to perform a community outreach titled City Serve. This group has a mantra, love thy neighborhood. a variation of the scripture from Isaiah 58:10 through 12. The outreach provided services for hygiene, provided a meal to all who attended, and offered groceries and bags which were freely given. No one left with empty hands, and contact available for help for that person. Additionally, community, government, and quasi-governmental organizations such as California Veterans Assistance Foundation, the College Community Services, the Department of Human Service, and others were available to all attendees. These groups offer help, assistance, placement, and even financial support to the individuals they were trying to reach. Dozens of our caring citizens, from teens to fellow seniors, were there to help in any manner they could. I asked a number of the volunteers if the event was a success. The resounding response was yes. Many contacts were made, individual needs addressed, and support with subsequent follow-up planned and commitments made. What a great story. Later that same day, I was in Albertsons parking lot and observed a young, apparently able-bodied man, about late 20s in age, panhandling. Interestingly, as I observed him, he approached only women who were alone or were with small children. To my horror and embarrassment, the women, mostly in a hurry, were willing to help. But as they attempted to retrieve cash from their handbag, each universally turned their back on the panhandler and focused solely on the contents of their bag. This, to me, was cautionary. If the panhandler were a criminal of a higher order, these women universally became easy prey. They were defenseless and unable to protect their children, themselves, their purchases, nor their possessions. I thought to myself, this is exactly how abductions and carjackings occur. I continued to observe and watch as he went to the next willing victim of his unlawful act. No one was harmed physically, yet each of us was diminished by the crime. He and I made direct eye contact as I prepared to repulse his illegal inquiry of me if he had made one. He did not request money, a snack, or a cigarette. He instead left the parking lot and I entered the store. I had put the matter on hold in the back of my head, thinking I should ask Chief McMinn if the acts of this man were going to go unaddressed. However, upon exiting the store, this same young man, who by the way had relatively new and seemingly clean clothes, with enough wherewithal to afford a nice, neat, bedazzled, logoed ball cap and ear gauges, was back doing his same routine on a new set of victims. With the same results. The women turned their backs as they retrieved money for him. I thought, holy crap, when is enough enough? Do we need a bodily injury, a major theft, or a carjacking, or an abduction before this is addressed? Does the need to be on TV show become real? Does it require first 48 hours episode? I don't know. What I do know is that this community will hold this city responsible if we make the news. As I said, I'm observing these things, thinking unwanted thoughts from my vehicle seat, and I observe another man, seemingly early 30s, doing the exact same thing in the next traffic aisle. I made eye contact, and he knew I was studying his routine. I was shamed to see this in my town. My course of action was that on the second viewing of the criminal number one, the first panhandler, I called the police station, identified myself, and gave accurate descriptions of both men. The final anecdote to this is I left the parking lot and the second vagrant man jaywalked across 10th Street, cut through the Pizza Hut parking area, and jaywalked across Kern Street, headed for the easternmost gasoline aisles of the Quick Trip. And there, he addressed a woman in her car, presumably asking her for money. Then he dug through the trash and proceeded to the alley of Heritage Village, where he was greeted by a third vagrant, presumably resting from a weary day of canning and panhandling, and walked east. I decided to enter the alley from 8th Street, headed west, allowing him the opportunity to know he was duly observed. He greeted me with, "Hello, sir," acknowledging that he understood I was aware of him and his actions. I have no knowledge of the police arriving or if there was an interaction at all. I certainly do believe I would say I know there is no good to come from allowing these crimes of panhandling and vagrancy to continue. Our city, its assets, its people, and their sense of safety and well-being are being harmed by this lawless behavior and conduct. I can only conclude that this was not an aberration, but as much more likely a standard occurrence. I am stating to you that you are the duly elected officials who direct the activities of this city's employees. You have a responsibility to protect every one of us. It's not the severity of the crime that matters, it's that it is a crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron Orr. Appreciate you coming before the council as well. All right, that concludes the citizen request public comments. Next up, item number 4, council statements, non-action. I'm going to begin with Mayor Pro Tem this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the things I just wanted to address on this was a lot of talk is always made of having a homeless shelter or a daycare. The big thing you have to consider is the money. One of the things that the homeless shelter talked about was their yearly budget is $3.5 million. That's half of the city of Taft's annual budget. We are not a big city. Money that goes into grants for these things, they go to urban areas first. We're a rural area. We are going to be last on the list because we are way out here. So the thing that we have to remember is serving these people is a great and noble task, but it's going to have to come through private sources. Unfortunately, the city of Taft is by no means in a position to fund one of these types of things. But that does not mean we don't have compassion, which is why I think a lot of us are here tonight and why we're here talking about this. I think that having Sergeant Bilby ride with the homeless people, the shelter, I think that's going to be great. I do believe we need to do everything we can to get the people to the right sources and protect the citizens of Taft from people who I have been, and the word is to be molested by somebody who wants to ask for money. And sometimes they are extremely aggressive. One of these days, somebody is going to get hurt. And I got to tell you something, it ain't going to be me, as that's all there is to it. But I do think we need to find a balance here of protecting ourselves and taking care of these people. The other thing I wanted to say is, although I am by no means a handsome firefighter, Dr. Oren, I would love to offer my services to solicit people for money.
For fireworks.
For fireworks. But I will be happy to be at the chamber on Friday morning, as I think I can probably make time for that and see if I can't beg for money. That's all I have.
Very noble of you, Mayor Pro Tem. Very noble.
I think I can do that. I think I can stand on a corner and ask for money.
Right. Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Orrin, you brought up a great event that happened this last weekend, and I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Rich and Erica Johnson for doing a heck of a job. I know they had a big team and multiple other people that were involved in that, so I want to say thank you to those folks for their efforts on behalf of their community, looking to make a difference, big or small, one person or multiple. I think every difference you make is important. Those folks are really doing a good job. It reminds me of something I didn't mention at our last council meeting. Was National Volunteer Week was 2 weeks ago. We have a number of volunteers. I know Reverend Mueller mentioned her involvement in Seroptimus and Rotary. We've got Lions Club members down here. We've got Kiwanians I know in the house. And folks all across this community give of themselves freely, and in my opinion, more freely than we might per capita elsewhere. So I want to say thank you to those folks who've offered their services and continue to do so. A heck of a pat on the back, because you know what? We definitely need those things. In terms of fund the fireworks, I obviously can't offer my services because I don't think you're going to get a whole lot when it comes to soliciting myself for fireworks, that is. But I would like to let folks know that we'd be happy, as my representation on the West Side Little League dictates, that I'd love to have folks offer donations there. We have folks in and out of there all the time for games, Monday through Friday, and so I'd love if you guys would be okay with that to collect on your behalf. And I'd like to also invite the chamber folks who are collecting down at any point to collect for that, because again, those folks are the ones who are enjoying it, so I hope you guys would come on down. Speaking of the West Side Little League, before we were able to meet again this month, on the 11th, Friday the 11th of May, we're holding a pretty special event. We do theme nights throughout the year, but this one is very, very near and dear to my heart, and I know it will be to Mayor Knorr, Military Appreciation Night. So we were offering a time to celebrate and say thank you to folks who've offered their services in service of our country, both veterans and current active duty folks if they can make it, especially the folks who've been out on our flight. I know I've spoke with Janice Mattoon, and I hope we're able to get a lot of folks who've enjoyed those services. But I'd like to invite the community out because it's a community event and an opportunity to say thank you to service members current, past, and present. So that is May 11th. Festivities will get started in earnest about 6 o'clock. We have a special color guard courtesy of the Naval Sea Cadets, the O'Callahan Division, again for the second year, and hopefully much, much more beyond that. But I'm going to save the details for those folks who are going to come out so you can enjoy it. In terms of the proclamation we issued earlier about National Building Safety Month, I know that our building official mentioned handing out information and disseminating information pretty freely to those folks who want it. And I think it really gives a glaring opportunity for us to utilize and leverage social media in terms of Facebook. And I know that I was happy to hear that those discussions are already happening without being prompted from the council. And I would encourage us to leverage that as much as we can because it's free, it's wide-ranging, and it's engaging quickly, especially the folks who are in the younger generation who want instant gratification, who aren't going to look up municipal code on the city's website, who aren't going to come sit in these seats at night every other Tuesday, or first and third Tuesday, that is, for council meetings. And that leads me to another possibility I'd like to discuss. I'd like us to consider streaming our meetings here live on Facebook. If we have the ability and the infrastructure to do so, it's a free service, and it's an opportunity for us to be quickly engaging, or at least reaching folks without having to wait a couple days. Even though we are very, very happy for Vinny to provide these services and offer a public record thereof, I think it would be a good way to offer that information. So I'd like for us to consider that in the future. Let's see here. Mr. Mayor, I think that's all I have. Thank you for the time.
All right, you're welcome. Councilmember Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. It has been a busy few weeks, like always. There's always something happening on. And yes, Dr. Warren, I love new money in Taft. We all like new money here in Taft. That means we're a growing city, and our businesses are growing too. And thank you for that comment. Really appreciate it. But it helps everybody. We had an event at the fort, a wine tasting event. It was fantastic. You know, the mayor was there. I think you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, we had a wonderful time.
Thank you for being out there.
Great event.
Very, very appreciative. We had plenty of food. Lucille Holt did organizing of the hors d'oeuvres and stuff.
Was that a Freudian slip, by the way?
Yeah. Just did a fantastic job, and had plenty of food. Nobody can go without eating, and we had a lot of good drinks and beer, and we had several different beer companies out there serving their concoctions, and it was a good time. And we were well represented for a lot of different sponsorships from throughout the community, and I just feel bad for people who didn't show up for it. They missed an awful lot. It was a fantastic, and what makes it really great, we had the Taft High School jazz band here, the Wildcats. They did a really, really good job playing. They just fantastic. Trying to think of that lady's name.
Miss Posey.
Miss Posey. She was great conducting, and had the kids there just like a tuned up watch. Just doing a great job, and I was very, very impressed and proud of her musicians she had there. She taught and what she did. It was a beautiful night. Perfect weather, perfect everything. It was great. And our next event, I hope it's being better yet. But I tell you what, it was a heck of a good time. Another thing too, on the 21st of last month, in Ford City, the walking community there did a cleanup. And up there for pride in their little community there. And Bob Hampton of Wayside Waste donated and picked up and took charge, did a great job in collecting all the trash that they picked up. There was, I don't know how many mattresses there was. There must have been like 10 different mattresses, 7 or 8 couches. You could almost have a yard sale what they picked up there. But it was great to clean up the trees, prune the trees, make the neighborhood good, trying to show pride of ownership. And I just want to thank Bob Hampton for his contribution for making that part of the world look great, because it influenced our city too. When people come into town here, they see a clean area, come to our city, it reflects on us. So that's why I want to give a shout out on that. I like Encourager Bake this coming weekend. Our big event for this week is the car show, and I'm glad we get a lot of different places from all over the community and outside our community to be there. It's a nice little event, and just brings our community a little closer. Like the fireworks deal, it brings our community even closer, and we're starting to get a name for ourselves to other communities. They come into our town, they shop here, they spend money, and hopefully they'll come and live in our little city, make our town even better. And thank you, Chamber, for all that, and the community itself to make it happen. I know our mayor here is one of his passions of contributing to the fireworks stand, and he always takes great pride in what he does, and it's one of the things that makes our community, unique. Thank you.
All right, absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. So many good things going on in Taft. So many good things. Thank you very much, Dr. Orwin, and for bringing that forward. One of the things that we all talked about and it occupied a great deal of our time some time ago, fortunately we haven't been discussing it lately, was the whole cannabis issue. And one of the things we decided to do was sit back and kind of keep an eye on what takes place in the state of California. They have grandiose plans, oftentimes spending money long before it materializes. And that would be the case for cannabis again. I've been trying to watch how things are going on the state level regarding the issuance of licenses and the legalization process, because after all, one of the things that was claimed when this was passed and became law was that if you legalize it, the black market would disappear. People would want to pay the fees, and they would want government overwatch regarding their cannabis product, and be more than happy to partake of that. One of the areas that I just read a report, and this was as of the end of March, prior to January 1st, the state of California knew of some roughly 12,000 delivery and distribution processes, distribution businesses. Of the 12,000 that they knew of on January the 1st, they have, 3 months into this thing, already licensed 97 of them. Yes, 97 of 12,000. Do the math. That's right, about 0.75%. So that would mean that 99.25% of them either quit business or are operating in a black market. Not so good. I could go on, but basically that's kind of where they are. They're at somewhere between 0.5% of 1% compliance and maybe as high as 5%. And they're bragging about the 5%. If you keep an eye on what goes on in communities that embraced all things marijuana, one need only look at what's going on in California City. The potential economical benefits of cannabis were discussed on either side of me up here at great length. And they decided to jump in the middle of it in California City. And I think at their last city council meeting, which lasted until almost 1 in the morning, they're looking at firing 75% of their police force, 66% of the fire department, the assistant to the city manager closing their parks, their 3 code compliance officers laying off, as well as other city staff. They have a major problem. And the marijuana money is not coming in yet they've been involved in so much code compliance and trying to get rid of the illegal grows going on there that the overtime's killing their budget. This is nothing that we haven't seen in other states and other municipalities, and it's not a big surprise, and it's happening right here. I hope those people get their stuff squared away. One of the proposals by the new city manager, I believe, to try to solve the problem was to go ahead and do what they told the community they weren't going to do, and that is open marijuana retail centers so that they can generate some sales tax revenue. that didn't go over very well with the people of California City. So I am glad that the city of Taft decided not to jump in the middle of that and let that, like I said, firecracker blow up in somebody else's hands. So nice to live in the city of Taft. That's all I have this evening. Next up, department reports, item number 5. Do we have any department reports this evening? No department reports, all right. City manager statements. I know we have a city manager here this evening.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. I have no statements tonight.
No statement. City attorney statement.
Mr. Mayor, no statement.
Okay. Well, that's kind of a statement. Item number 8, future agenda requests. Do we have any future agenda requests of any council members this evening?
I do have a couple. AB 1745, it's a bill, if passed, would ban the sale and registration of internal combustion passenger vehicles starting in 2040 in California. I'd like to see if we do a resolution in support of the current Economic Development Corporation and our support against the bill that is possible. Get a concurrence on it.
I'm sorry.
Get a resolution to give to the current Economic Development Corporation.
KEDC.
Right. KEDC.
What's the, it's AB?
AB 1745, you said?
1745.
1745. And you want a resolution in support?
And no, against.
In opposition.
Okay.
Need to.
We do have some information on it. We do have the economic tool that we can use to plug into our local tax area to see what the local effects.
All the oil companies and stuff, they already did their opposition. We're ready for that.
I do believe the unicorns with the rainbow-colored wings are on back order, so I don't think there's sufficient numbers of them available by then, but we'll have to see.
Okay. And then the second one
I would
is...
concur with that.
Thank you.
And the second one is listening to the speaker about the homelessness and stuff, and they said one of the issues they had was if it would help that they want to give up their dog or kitty cat or whatever they had because they had no place to go while they go through that program. I was wondering if there's a possibility, if they are able to convince a person to go, if the city could use their dog pound maybe, or get some public support to keep their dog parked for 30 days.
We actually spoke of that, and the police department has third-party individuals that have volunteered to do that. Volunteer
Perfect.
groups.
And they know that here?
We got to be here locally.
The mission people know that?
They already do it. Some of our folks that become incarcerated, they find places for their animals while they're incarcerated, and rarely do we house them at our facility because then we would have to charge unless the city council voted not to, which sometimes we have limited space and limited resources at the moment.
I was trying to get rid of excuses, some people use excuses and stuff as far as the homeless people trying to help. Limit excuses that would help facilitate them getting themselves taken care of. But that's good. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Councilman Bryant.
I don't have none, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry.
All right, no worries. Mayor Pro Tem Hill. All right, I don't either, so thank you very much. Next up, consent calendar items 9 through 18. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none. Items on the consent calendar include item number 9, the minutes of the April 17th regular meeting. Item number 10, payment of bills, total of some $1.1 million. Item number 11, renewal of LexisNexis Law Library agreements, which is a recommendation to authorize the mayor to sign the agreements. Item number 12, an agreement with utility cost management. Recommendation is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with utility cost management for audit of the city's utility bills. Item 13 is accept the completed work by Midstate Sheet Metal for the re-roof of the lower MCCF Administration and Medical Building project. The recommendation is a motion to accept the completed work by Midstate Sheet Metal for the re-roof of the lower MCCF Administration and Medical Building project, and authorize the city clerk to file the notice of completion with Kern County Recorder. Staff further recommends that the release of the 5% retention to the contractor after 30 days pending claims or liens filed during this period. Item 14, the renewal of the contract with the State of California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDCR, for housing inmates in the City of Taft Modified Community Correctional Facility, MCCF. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving agreement number C56087828 with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for the operation of the Modified Community Correctional Facility and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement. Item 15 is agreement with Utility Cost Management for solar measurement and verification. Recommendation is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Utility Cost Management for measurement and verification of the city's purchase power agreement. Item 16, resolution adopting regulations for the use of municipal parking lots and city-owned properties. The recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft adopting regulations for the use of municipal parking lots and city-owned properties for California Vehicle Code, CVC, Section 22519. Item 17, professional services agreement with Riker Designs for design scope of work for Civic Center renovations. The recommendation is a motion to approve an agreement with Riker Designs in an amount not to exceed $17,475 to prepare the scope of work required to bid out Civic Center renovations and authorize the mayor to execute said agreement. And finally, item 18, street closures for the 2018 Chamber of Commerce Car Show. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft authorizing the street closures for the 2018 Chamber of Commerce Car Show. I'm going to ask that we remove item number 11. Does any council member wish to remove any item on the consent calendar?
I'd like to remove number 14, please.
Number 14. All right. Any others? Hearing none, at this time I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Knorr.
Yes, and that passed on a 4-0 vote. Thank you very much. All right, item number 11, renewal of LexisNexis Law Library Agreement. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Taft's agreement for LexisNexis, which supplies access to legal law library to the inmates at the Modified Correctional Facility, is set to expire. Software is a licensed software that is charged a month rate of $819 per month, but that is billed annually, including sales tax, for a total of $10,540.53, which is an increase of $497.64 from prior year. In addition, there will be a $177 a month billed monthly for staff access on behalf of the inmates to print requested pages. There is no increase from prior years. I will point out that this is a requirement per our contract to give the inmates access to law library, and LexisNexis is about the only game out there.
Sounds like a great name to me. The reason I requested this be pulled from the consent calendar was, if you look at the extension periods, there was a typo on 3 items, and those 3 items were the extension period was beginning 4/1/18 to 3/31/19, then 4/1/19 to 3/31/20, and then 4/1/20 to 3/31/22. It should have been 3/31/21 on all 3 pages. So it's simply a typographical error. It should have been in 1-year increments. So just for everybody's information, that would be 4/1/2020 through 3/31/2021. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to authorize the mayor to sign these agreements.
Motion.
Second.
I have 2 motions and a second. The amended
Agreement.
the agreement. Thank you. All right, so, motion and second. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Nor.
Yes. And that passes on a 4-0 vote. Thank you all. Next up, item number 14. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation has contracted with the City of Taft to house inmates in the City of Taft Modified Community Correctional Facility since March 2014. The proposed agreement between the City of Taft and CDCR is a 5-year contract, July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2023, with a 30-day termination clause by either party to continue operations. Part of this agreement to continue MCCF operation, the city intends to continue its existing contracts with Westside Healthcare District for medical and dental care, and to the MCCF with Aramark Food Services providing food services.
Thank you very much, City Manager Jones. Councilman Bryant, you asked that this be removed from the consent calendar.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The reason I asked for this to be removed is I want to point out and point of fact that it's through the hard work and dedication of city staff and especially the staff over at the MCCF, the reason that we've got this renewal. And we've received, I'm sure, a number of accolades, and I would like to request that Chief Holt be in attendance at a subsequent meeting to give us maybe a background on where we've come since we've reopened the CCF, and also a chance to toot her horn, as well as that of her staff, about all the reasons we continue to have this contract and we continue to receive those accolades from the state contract management branch.
All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt a resolution entitled Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving agreement number C5607828 with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for the operation of the Modified Community Correctional Facility and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
No discussion.
Councilmember Bryant. I think we already heard from you, sir. All right. Councilmember Cryer.
I just want to, say, I concur with Councilman Bryant about the job that Holt has done, and all the officers and the Taft in doing what they, keep our contract going, because it's so valuable to our city. Without that contract, it would have been very tough and disastrous and stuff. And we're going to be going on our 5th or year of no cost increase at all. We're over 10 years at no extra cost per diem. So we're not we're not getting anything extra or anything. And we're doing such a good job that I'm proud of our city, what we're doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I would mirror those comments. I would thank City Manager Jones for being the lead negotiator regarding this. I would thank the entire team that was assembled. It's an interesting opportunity to be a part of a team that, in point of fact, you do have some control over your own destiny based on the quality of the product you provide the customer. And the quality of the product is the level of care and education and all the other programs that we're supposed to have there given as an end service. So congratulations to all in regard to that. I myself am glad to see this, so thank you as well. We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Nor.
Yes, absolutely, and that passes on a 4-0 vote. All right, next up, item number 19, City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Last May, Council approved a donation to the Taft Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $2,500 for the 2017 Community Firework Display. The Chamber has begun their fundraising efforts for 2018, and it is requested the Council consider donating again for this year for the 4th of July celebration. There are several funds amounts for the Council to consider. Please see attached sponsorship form and a letter provided by the Taft Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, at this time, I'd entertain a motion to donate funding to the Taft Chamber of Commerce 2018 4th of July Fireworks Show Fund in the amount approved by the Council.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, so now we can discuss it. You made the motion, Councilman Bryant. You may begin.
Mr. Mayor, I thank you for the time. I think it would be prudent at least to consider and make the motion that we approve the same amount as we did last year. I believe it was $5,000. Is that correct?
Actually, it's $2,500.
Excuse me.
Last year.
Sorry. You're welcome, Kathy. I tried. So that was all my only comment, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
All right. Councilmember Cryer.
I would prefer for 2,500, but if they're a little short at the end of the deal, my company visit it and may make a little, if it happens, I know it probably wouldn't, they'd make up a little difference for the shortfall in the funding.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
I agree that we should at least do what we did last year.
Well, I agree as well. Big believer in the fireworks show. We're so fortunate to have it. For heaven's sakes, I can't imagine the 4th of July without it. It will be held this year, incidentally, on the 4th of July. And it, like every other time, is going to be a monumentous event. I believe that you are right in what you said, and that the matching of the same sponsorship level we had last year would be prudent. If, however, as we close and we get closer and closer, if need be, and you need to come back and speak with us, please feel free, as you always are, to take the podium. All right, so I do believe I have a motion for the $2,500 donation.
Yes, sir.
And a second. I have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Norr?
Yes, and that passes on a 4-0 vote. So let's get this party started. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes this evening's regularly scheduled meeting, and we'll be going into closed session. However, before we go into closed session and adjourn to closed session, on behalf of the City of Taft, with the deepest sympathy and sincere condolences, the Mayor and the City Council will adjourn this evening's meeting, May the 1st, 2018, in the honor of the memory of Jim Gaither, former fire chief of the City of Taft. And if you weren't at the function at the firehouse, it was what it should have been. And hats off to everybody who was a part of making that what it should have been, and saying thank you to a man who dedicated himself to the City of Taft. So at this time, the City of Taft will adjourn into closed session. For closed session items A, conference with real property negotiator Craig Jones, City Manager, Government Code Section 54956.8, APN 032-110-30. Item B, conference with labor negotiator Craig Jones, City Manager, Government Code Section 54957.6, all units. And item C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9B, one potential case. Thank you all for being a part of this evening's meeting.